The story has no dream from God. The story does not have much hope. The story begins with a family on a farm in Oklahoma. They worked the land and lived in small homes. And this family was large. There was a father, a mother, their children, grandparents, and a son in prison. The Joad family had a place where they were rooted, a land that was a home and a family with a purpose and a hope right where they were. It's how every good story starts off right. All is well in the kingdom, in a galaxy far, far away. Everything is well, but you know what's coming next. You know that the equilibrium is about to be disturbed. So their love is what kept them happy. It's what kept them content until one day they saw the pamphlets. These pamphlets were about as big as a bulletin you could find on Sunday morning, but as big as a circus with its over-exaggerations and tricks from on top of the high wire. They exaggerated how California was rich with farming land, with fruit as big as your head. The Joes decided that this news was too much to pass up. They had to get in on a piece of the beautiful land full of fruit and unlimited farming. They sold all their belongings. They picked cotton to make money to buy a worthless truck and some things for the journey. They were missing something. They're missing their son in prison, Tom Joad, till one day he was released from jail on probation and came back to journey with them. The family was together again, and all seemed right, except one thing was not right. The pamphlets were false advertisement, a lie, and there were thousands of pamphlets, thousands of takers for these pamphlets. The takers were grasping at this thing like it was hope for them, like it was what they needed to change their lives forever. They're like an infomercial. They're attempting to sell the newest ab cruncher or food blender that will save you from yourself. It's like we're always grasping at the next thing in hope that it will satisfy us, and it never does. They're dream killers. They don't stop you from having dreams, but they give you dreams that can't ever be fulfilled. Con artists. They tell you what you need to keep you from being satisfied. The Joads were poor but satisfied. Well, at least I think they were. But they wanted more. They found something that told them how they could get more. The place they were going had no more room, no land, no more hope to pass around for those grasping for hope, for a better life, grasping for a land to call home, grasping. These families were on the edge. These pamphlets were like a sick joke. They were dream killers. Where is God? Joseph and his family were satisfied. They were content. They owned some land. They had all they needed. Jacob was Joseph's father, who had Joseph in his old age, and for that, Jacob crowned Joseph as his favorite son. And Jacob, he had 11 sons. They were all shepherds, and they were raised to be shepherds because that was the family business. It's how Jacob made his living. And they were content as shepherds in Canaan. This is the land they built. They had built roots deep down in. It's the place they have safety. It's where they have always been. But Joseph was not raised to be a shepherd, nor was he raised to call Canaan his home. Joseph was born to dream. He was born and bred for greatness. He was born to rule. And this is the source of tension between Joseph and his brothers. All was well in the kingdom. Everything was normal. The sheep were bleating, and Joseph's brothers were mad at him like normal. Joseph, yes, Father? Go check on your brothers. Okay, Pops. So Joseph is his father's right-hand man, and it ticks his brothers off. Joseph meets his brothers in the fields, and they know what is going on. So after name-calling and punches, Joseph walks home to report the news to his fathers. I mean, would you like a little brother to tattle on you every chance he got? It's frustrating. It gets on your nerves. Joseph gets to his brothers one day in the field and proceeds to tell them about a dream he had. It's about stalks of grain. His stalk's standing in the middle, and theirs all circled around him, bowing down, or in other words, Joseph was to rule over them. You can imagine his brothers are out of their minds. I mean, how could someone so small rule over 11 of them? The brothers question Joseph's motives, and Joseph then tells his father of another dream he had, in which his father and mother will bow down to him as well. These dreams ticked his brothers off. But Joseph's father almost stays out of sight. He stays neutral. He doesn't say he loves it, he doesn't say he hates it, but he lets the anxiety grow. And so much so that his brothers start talking about wanting to kill him. I imagine at this point Joseph is afraid, he's excited, and his brothers are just hopeless. Their hopelessness does not allow them to dream. It does not have room for empathy. It does not have room for compassion. Their hopelessness breeds hatred and resentment. Joseph one day goes to check on his brothers in Shechem, but they are nowhere to be found. As he wanders in the fields, he thinks to himself, man, I wonder what those dreams mean. I wonder what God's going to do with my life. It's hot and it's lonely, and he has a lot of time to think. How am I going to get out of this one? He thinks aloud. Of course, he's thinking about his brothers. And then he sees a man with sunburn and wrinkled face who's waving his arms, so Joseph runs over to him and asks about his brothers. The man says, well, I overheard some fellas saying that they're going over to Dothan. Joseph decides to make the trek even further from home out to Dothan. While Joseph was still far off, his brothers noticed them. Is that? No, it can't be. That's Joseph. No. Look, see, he's got sleeves on his coat. See that? Joseph's brothers, they huddle around and plot their revenge. So one yells, let's jump him. No, let's just make him squeal. And then one yells out, let's kill the so-and-so. They all cheer. But Reuben, he cries out, no, we can't kill Joseph. He's a friend, he's a brother, he's a family member. We can't do that. Let's just throw him in the well. So they take Joseph by the coat. They rip it off him. One grabs his ankles, and the other one grabs him, and they throw him in the well, naked, head first. The brothers smile. They congratulate one another on completing the task, and they get back at getting back at their brother. The dreamer has successfully been trapped and shut up for good. Meanwhile, Reuben plans to save Joseph from his brothers by taking him back to his father. While Reuben is making his plans, Judah sees the Midianite traders pushing carts full of healing remedies and decides to sell Joseph to them. When Reuben comes back to the well where Joseph is and sees his brother is gone. He's overcome, and he rips his clothes and grieves the loss of his brother Joseph. Where is God? It was a deep sleep in my small 10 by 6 foot room with a telephone, a lamp, and some old Texas Monthly magazines. My room was one of about 12 different rooms in the basement of the hospital. The other 11 were resident rooms, one for family medicine on my right, and the other the bathroom. Right where my head was the toilet. The sleep was as deep as a busy hospital resident resting quarters could be, and I was on call that whole day from 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. I held the pager for all traumas, deaths, and emergency emotional support sessions in the whole hospital. 450 beds is enough to keep any hospital chaplain busy. For the first time that night, there was, you don't say quiet in a hospital. And it was pretty busy up till midnight. The loud buzz beat from my pager would wake anyone from a deep sleep. And 25 minutes into my deep sleep, at about 1 a.m., that devil device from the 90s went off, and I jumped out of bed. It was a phone number. So it was not a trauma description. So I decided it could be a death, or it could be a spiritual support call. Running on fumes, I crossed myself, hoped to God it was something simple and not too complicated. I called the number on the pager. Hello? The nurse said on the other line. Hello, this is Chaplain Aaron. I say, we have a patient in the emergency department who just received some bad news. What type of news? I asked. Cancer, she said. I hate the word cancer. It used to be like a death sentence 20 years ago, but now cancer can be manageable. But for me, I still shudder when I hear that word cancer. I get up, get dressed, walk down the long corridor, my eyes bloodshot, heart pumping blood furiously to get my legs going again. My feet are swollen from all the walking already done that day, from trauma to death to the 9th floor where there was a sickle cell crisis. My mind was rushing. My emotions were dead. I thought to myself, how is God going to use me now? There's nothing left in my soul. I scan my badge, walk down the corridor to the entrance to the ED. I scan my badge and enter the ED to go to the nurse's station to inquire about the patient. The patient is a male with cancer who has come back for the 3rd time, and it's come back with a vengeance. Spread throughout his whole body, and there's surely no more hope left for this man. The nurse tells me some other things I need to know, like how his wife and daughters are in the room. Again, I hate the stupid word cancer because it sneaks up on people and it can be like a death sentence. It freaks me out. I reluctantly enter his room. I knock. Hello, this is Chaplain Aaron. May I come in? Immediately, his face is downcast. Tears begin to fall. His wife and kids sit next to him in a state of shock, and I sit next to him in a chair. He proceeds to tell me what a good person he's been and how he hasn't made that many mistakes, but doesn't know why God is so angry at him. Everything within me wanted to tell him, God did not cause this, but I held it in while he confessed his life story to me. I felt a great anxiety in this visit. While he yelled and cried out to God, I wanted to ask God too, why? Where are you, God? I wanted to have a conversation with God. I mean, this man has a child, a daughter, who he won't even see graduate. He won't even see have children. Where are you, and why are you not doing anything about this? Death by cancer to me seems so senseless and hopeless. I have a hard time finding God in the midst of this suffering. After hearing this man cry out to God and ask me questions that I could not answer, he asked me to pray. I held his hand. I prayed for him. He thanked me and told me that he felt better. Felt better? I left the room perplexed and sad. How did I help this guy? What in the world just happened? If you ever have had anyone with cancer tell you how mad they are at God, it's intense. You have to listen because it's what they need. Where is God? Jacob just lost his favorite son, the dreamer. He lost the future of the family, the keeper of the key to the land of Israel. The Jodes gave everything up for a lie. Cancer is eating up this young man's body slowly and painfully. Where is God? It sounds hopeless, doesn't it? Well, it is. For Jacob, up to the near end of his life, he was hopeless. For Jacob's sons, most of their lives, they were hopeless. For this man with cancer, he felt hopeless. For the Jodes, they had moments of hopelessness. For the people of God to find hope, it is a difficult task because we must listen to the rest of the story and wait for redemption and for hope. Joseph's life, viewed through a telephoto lens, would have looked hopeless. But in panning out, zooming out to a wider and wider perspective, we can see that the hand of God. Genesis 37, verse 36 says, "Meanwhile, the Midianites had sold Joseph to the Egyptians, to Potiphar, Pharaoh's chief officer, commander of the royal guard." To have hope, we must read the rest of Grapes of Wrath. to have hope, we must listen to the people in difficult situations. Let them know that we don't have answers, but that we can sit with them in their pain. We can travel with them to California from Oklahoma and know that at the end there won't be any hope of what the pamphlets said. We can travel with them and know that we may not be able to help, but God is there anyway, doing the same. God is traveling with us in the midst of our suffering. We may not see the hope for the long stretches of the journey, but God is with us, listening along the way.